Blade is an upcoming playable 5-star character in Honkai Star Rail with whose release I'm very excited about. So here's what we know about his lore so far and some theories about what might come in future updates. A lot of this is speculation based on the in-game text. This video will contain spoilers for the story, for future stories, as well as spoilers for other characters such as Jingren, Dan Heng, and Jingliu. Let's start with Blade's possible relationships and dynamics with other characters, and his unique situation with immortality. It's very likely that Blade was once part of the High Cloud Quintet that Jing Yuan talks about in his character story. This High Cloud Quintet has 5 people, which also includes Dan Heng Jing Yuan, Jingliu, who is Jing Yuan's mentor, and Bai Heng, also known as the Foxian Lady in some of the in-game texts. In the main quest, Jing Yuan also tells Yanqing to watch Blade carefully and purposefully lets Blade go, suggesting further that they may have a deeper past. These 5 people may be who Blade is also referring to in his prophecy, and if so, this could mean that Jingliu, Blade, and Dan Heng paid the price being immortality. This explains the final line in Jing Yuan's character story: only the truly wise can stand proud in front of the undefeated enemy called time. Blade's unique situation with immortality is best explained in contrast with Dan Heng's. Dan Heng is a Vidyadhara, whose immortality is based on reincarnation. They are able to shed their old bodies and be reborn. Blade, however, is immortal in the truest sense, where he is not reborn and instead lives through the centuries. The comparison between the immortalities of Dan Heng and Blade can also be seen in-game, as Dan Heng's imbibitor lunae state is shown with a white lotus, which represents rebirth, whereas Blade is shown with a spider lily, which represents death. Blade's immortality may be unique in this way, as his immortality may have come about through the use of forbidden knowledge, as spoken about in Bailu's companion mission. Moreover, we can also theorize that Blade is the only short-life species member of the High Cloud Quintet, as this would further explain why his immortality is different to the other members such as Jingliu. It is possible to theorize that it may have been Dan Heng that used this forbidden knowledge to bring Blade back from the dead. Dan Heng was the guarder of the ambrosial arbor. Ambrosia was the food of the gods that's associated with giving immortality, and arbor is a tree, so he is the person that is responsible for guarding probably the tree of immortality. Dan Heng could have used his access to this tree to resurrect Blade, and that may be why he is now banned from the luofu. This type of immortality is likely what is causing him to have a cracked mind, and if so, the source of this cracking is likely to be Mara, as Mara is responsible for other forms of immortality in the game. The wooden hairstick piece in the relic set Passerby of Wandering Cloud talks about a certain unnamed character that becomes immortal or comes back from the dead, and the character themselves in this set describes it as similar to flowers sprouting from a dead broken branch. One possible theory is that Blade is the unnamed in this description, based on the aesthetics of the relics being similar to his concept. Blade's last constellation is called Reborn into an Empty Husk, which can suggest that he might have lost part of his humanity, or more likely his memory, when he was made immortal. Bailu's companion mission talks about how the people who are immortal accumulate memories until their mind is full, and then the most vivid and extreme memories that they have are the ones that tend to persist in their mind, which can possibly explain why Blade is fueled by his anger and perceived depth, suggested in the 4-star light cone Nowhere to Run. In this light cone, it suggests that Blade wants to kill Dan Heng. However, death for immortals like them may not be the same as normal death, as Blade and Dan Heng, based on the theories that we have both technically died already. Death for them could instead suggest something similar to like a descent to an abyss, similar to Genshin, or a soul-shattering or mind-shattering process. So there seems to be 3 events that we could kind of theorize that happen after Blade is stricken with immortality. The first is his wandering through the snow, which is described through the hairstick piece in the relic set, where he has an epiphany about the state of his immortality and pieces together his memories. The second is the incident described in the boots of the relic set, where his body is broken again and again through battles with a certain someone, and they stab a sword straight through his heart. However, due to the state of his immortality, he would rise back up again. We could maybe theorize that this could be Jingliu, as she also trained Jing Yuan, and she could have maybe had a much stricter, harsher training for Blade. The third event that happens after Blade is stricken with immortality is his encounter with the Stellaron hunters. In the coat of the relic set, set passerby of Wandering Cloud, it talks about how a woman with sunglasses and a person wearing colossal armor offered to Blade, or the Unnamed, a deal that he could not refuse. So there are two theories that come into mind for this. The first is that the Stellaron hunters could have been keeping Blade's mind and soul intact despite these memories and Mara issues that he has. This was kind of confirmed during the live stream.
Whenever Blade gets scary, it's the Mara flaring up.
Blade relies on Kafka's spirit whisper to suppress the Mara inside him.
The second is what is said in the Boots of the Relic set, which is that they promised to bring an eternal end and a final funeral to the Unnamed's life and to everything he had ever hated.
The real reason Blade joined was because Elio promised him the outcome he desired. Not just vengeance, a funeral.
His own, to be precise.
So now let's get into what might have happened in Blade's past before he became immortal. One event that may have happened before he was immortal is described in the bracer piece of the relic set, where there are pairs of this bracer item that have telepathic connections with each other, and the person holding the other piece is 1. Someone that Blade, or the Unnamed, has sparred with and had drinks with under the moon. 2. They are someone that Blade believes he is destined to reunite with. And 3, it is someone who Blade has long years of grudges and hatred with. It's also highly possible that this other person is a Vidyadhara, as the bracelet itself is described as being made by a master artisan from this dragon race. So from all of these, we may be able to theorize that this person may be Dan Heng, as along with the negative feelings that Blade has to Dan Heng, as described in the light cone Nowhere to Run, there's also an official art of Dan Heng drinking under the moon, though this may be a bit of a reach. Another theory of some part of Blade's past that may have happened before he was immortal is that he may have been a weapons forger. This weapons forger is mentioned in the in-game text as the Furnace Master. The Furnace Master is who created Starfell Reverie, the weapon that Jing Yuan holds, and is described in the Arrow of the Star Chaser description as the only person that has the rights to reforge the shards of the arrow for those who are worthy. So all of these are theories based on texts that may or may not be related to Blade, and as such are all based on speculation. What we do know is that Blade's character design is very much encapsulated with death, with his burst animations and splash background, both containing the spider lily. I'm definitely excited to learn more about Blade's lore with his upcoming playable character release and through the upcoming updates on the story. Thank you for watching!